Hi, Mr. Bodell here, Bodell's Comfort Footwear. And in the past, we usually go through some new product that we're getting on uh, throughout the season. And today, we're going to do something a little different. We get a lot of questions through our Facebook, YouTube channel, and things like that, various social media pages. So I'm going to try to answer some questions regarding the New Balance 990. We're going to focus on that. There's several questions I'm going to try to uh, kind of meld them together, I suppose, in this discussion. So the 990 in the version 6 has come out. It's been out for about a year. And what we're going to talk about is the support system. But before we get all that, I want to go through something. I get a lot of questions regarding knee pain and situations like pronation and supination. So what I want to show you is that pronation is when you have a low volume arch and you turn in. When you have a low volume arch, you have a low instep and you turn in this way. Supination is with a high arch, you have a high instep and you supinate. You turn your foot out. All right. High arch, high instep, supinate. That's normally the case. When you look at the charts, you'll see the situation where you have a high arch, you're going to supinate. You're going to turn your foot out. When you have a low arch, you're going to pronate. You're going to turn in. All right? So let's start from there. Where you get knee pain is when the shoe is not doing its job. It needs a firm counter support. This 990 has an encapsulated heel cup. I've also heard some people say that they question about the elasting board in these. If you look inside the shoe, this is a true mock construction, just like an Indian moccasin. It's center stitch, but it's on a fiber lasting board. What that does is that it prevents the shoe to turn. It gives you stability and motion control. Yes, it does have a fuel cell, but it's embedded in the EVA material. They also formulate a hidden arch support in here as well. So when somebody asks a question whether you need an arch support in a shoe because of knee issues, I would argue this. Here is a skeleton of a foot. In the center is a series of fibrosis bands that run in the middle of our feet. It connects with the plantar fascia. The plantar fascia connects with the Achilles tendon. It also connects with the 5 metatarsus for your bed pads, for your toes. Where you want to get the support for any knee issues is right in here. That's where you want it. You want it to fit along here, lift those fibrosis bands up. That way, it brings that ankle center, keeps the ankle centered with the knee and the hips. That's where the weight is distributed evenly. So, the bottom line is this. There was another question asking about the 993. The 993 is a shoe that it's one of their heritage shoes. It doesn't have the support that the 990s do, for sure. All right, so it got a little too soft of a counter. The lasting board is not as firm and stiff, rigid, I guess you could say, than the 990s. So if you're talking about a running shoe or a shoe that you can do an extended amount of walking and everything else, between the 993 and the 990, I would tell you to stick with the 990, okay? Yes, the 993 is made in the States, great, but it's not quite the level as the 990 that is also made in the United States. All right, so as far as the lateral arch support, those of you with flat feet, it doesn't do any good. In fact, it's going to hurt you. All right, you cannot remake an arch. It's all done genetically. You have to blame it on mom and dad on either side of the pipeline of your genetic history. Just the way it is, part of reality. However, if you get that counter support, you get that lasting board support, that shank support, it's going to keep that ankle aligned with the knee and the hips. Hence, you're not going to have those issues of having problems with the meniscus, for example, in the knees, nor issues with the hips, like hip pointers, or even sciatica issues. Now, if you're talking about sciatica issues, yes, the higher the arch, the less pressure you're putting on the sciatica or the lower back. So that'll be for another time when I'll get to that. But for now, as far as the 990 is concerned, hopefully I've hit all the questions that have been asked. But I would tell you that it's not necessary to get a higher volume arch support for you, those of you that have high arches, because you have a tendency to supinate. High arches have a tendency to turn their foot out. So the higher the arch, more pressure you're putting there, the more foot you're going to turn out. So no, as I was saying before, you want to get that support in the center of the foot, right in here where the series of fibrosis bands are. So hopefully I've answered some of those questions that you guys been sending us on our YouTube channel. Hopefully any comments or suggestions you can throw at me once this gets posted, let me know. But until then, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Mr. Bodell, Bodell's Comfort Footwear.